3, 2, 1,
jingle! Happy time has just begun. Brother, sister, smart, dumb, fun.
Yeah.
What's up, Band Brothers?
Nothing, Jenny Brothers. What's up with you?
Nothing. What's up, Jeanne Caselli? How's it going?
Hey.
That's right. We've got this serious dance pop music going on. We see Anne, who's dancing and popping and locking. Don't pull a muscle. Don't break.
Oh yeah. No,
Okay,
no kidding.
Good.
Woof, woof.
It's easy to do in this day and age.
Well, especially when you become more mature.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. More mature. I like it. For those of you that might have noticed, we have a new brand in the background. That's right. We've changed our colors up in our brand, and we've added. I better turn the music off so that people aren't drowned. We are not drowned out by this awesome music.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we've expanded our podcast reach. We are on Spotify as always, and that's probably still the easiest place to find us. You don't have to scroll nearly as far down to find us on the Spotify, which is nice. But now you can also find us on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. No, not iTunes. iHeartRadio and Amazon Music, along with the Facebook and the YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, look at us. I finally figured out how to do all that. Well, it helps because we finally have a legit RSS feed on Spotify because we have over 20 followers now on Spotify. Yep. 27 as of this morning.
And 2 of them are Jenny and myself.
That is correct.
And me.
And I think,
Oh,
and Jeannie, good. Yep, good. Just keep it rolling. That's right.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
That's right.
Duncan.
And
So
Duncan, good job.
there might even
And
be somebody we don't know. Might.
That's okay. No, that's how you do it. We build it one voice at a time, etc. So we have a special guest with us. As you can see, we have Jeanne Caselli with us today. Jeanne, you've been dubbed as our self-anointed, we anointed you, our murder podcast expert, our true crime podcast expert, because you listen to them.
Right.
I do.
Okay.
You already know way more than we do about it. So therefore, you are an expert.
Correct. Because I don't think I've ever listened to a murder podcast. I'm not a huge podcaster person, which is ironic considering like I do a podcast, but mostly I get hooked into books and then, that happens. So
I love podcasts. In fact, I even support 2 on Patreon and then one on buyusacoffee.com. So I support 3 different podcasts and I listen to like probably another half a dozen altogether. So I love them. Once I got hooked on one, I was like, oh, I love this. Somebody tell me stuff. So
they're great for when you're cleaning or you're driving or
working in your garden. Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent.
Especially when I'm tired of news. Oh, so tired.
Ooh. Yeah, who was that? Oh, I was talking to Maria today. She's the nice lady that runs the Victorian Bakery. That was one of the things that she said is that she just gets so tired sometimes of listening to the news and B, podcasts about, how we're all going to die and global warming and everything's terrible. I'm like, oh, yay, good. See, and that's what we do, Anne. We fill the niche of, I don't want to listen to everything's terrible. I want to listen to something smart, dumb, or fun. Here we are.
So we're going to listen to stuff about murder podcasts.
That's right.
Exactly. Well, some people use them to relax, and I can't judge because I love me a cult podcast. I want to know how people got involved and how I managed not to get involved because there were some times in my life where I could probably get a bit sucked in. So,
to the local cult. Well, Sturgis, Michigan, where we grew up, has an inordinate number of churches, it feels like. And there are some whacked out churches in that town. We won't mention any names because they might be our listeners. I don't know. But nevertheless.
Probably not. Probably not. Some of them don't like women talking in public.
True.
So.
True. Excellent point. Excellent point. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up to the front here. As you know, Anne and I have some regular things that we do with our podcast. For instance, here's our synopsis. Welcome back to the Brother Sisters. If you are new to the show, this is just our little way of introducing you to our show and who we are. We are Anne and Jeanne's brothers. We are the Brother Sisters. Our last name is actually Brothers. We didn't change that just for entertainment purposes. You can thank Michael Brothers and his family from Germany. Yay, all those years ago. We are in our 50s, which means we are Gen X, which means that, and it turns out you and I write and speak a different language now.
Exactly. And that is
yes.
cursive. We can read and write in cursive.
That is right. We can read and write in cursive. And it's so funny because my students wanted to see my signature. So I wrote my signature on the whiteboard and they were like, oh, that's so cool. It's so cool. And I'm just like, what do you guys write? And so all of them are like printing out your signature. And I'm like, oh God, that's awful.
Yeah, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to learn to write in cursive because as I have mentioned before on this podcast, I have dyslexia and cursive had nothing to do with that. Like I could do it and still not know how to read.
It looks so cool. It looks so cool and good.
It looks so cool. It was like, exactly. It was the closest thing I ever got to a foreign language. So yeah, so I thought
that's correct. I just think my signature is badass, and I loved it when I was a kid, like practicing my badass signature. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I've been told I have a cool signature. I know. Let's see. We are not. We talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, or fun stuff on our podcast. We are not cool or hip or sexy. We know this because sometimes we use our cell phones to make phone calls.
I know, right? Lame.
And on top of that, we'll leave voicemails.
We will. And we'll check our own voicemails.
Correct.
Exactly. Usually it's doctor's appointment or somebody speaking in Mandarin. I don't speak Mandarin.
It's so funny because my stepdaughter, Sarah, we knew that things were changing when you would call her and she wouldn't answer, but then you would text her 2 minutes later and she would respond right back. And you're like, okay, I see where this is going.
Calling is for old people.
Calling is for old people. Voice messages are for old people. So yeah.
Texting is becoming for old people too.
Yeah.
You're right. It is.
Yeah. You got a Snapchat now.
Snapchat, that you got to snap it and use lots of emojis and no capital letters or punctuation because apparently punctuation is passive aggressive. So I don't know. Apparently, if I use a period in my text, it's passive aggressive. I did not know this.
Yeah.
So
I heard that the thumbs up emoji was considered passive aggressive.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's the thumbs up emoji.
Did you do that?
No. Maybe we're being hacked.
Wait, thumbs up emoji. I'm waiting to see if it pops up again. That's crazy.
It's a ghost. It's a ghost on my computer.
Ghost in the machine. Of course, you have an Apple, so Apple does all kinds of fucked up things.
It does. It does. I do have an Apple, so maybe that's it. Yes. Maybe my Apple does a better job of monitoring my speech than yours does.
Say it again, Ann.
Thumbs up emoji. Oh, see,
it's totally an Apple thing. We just discovered that if you're using an Apple and you say thumbs up emoji, it will give
thumbs up emoji. Oh, look at me now! I have fireworks.
Okay, and that makes sense because you have like fireworks.
I did that. That happened before. Eggplant emoji. Let's see what happens there. Oh, there's Duncan. He's got a Woody.
That's hilarious. All right, you've heard it here live. That's right. Things are happening. Tara Lynn is with us. Tara Lynn Trotter, how's it going? I was counting on you to be here today, and you are. The patriarchy has trained the kids to think a period is passive aggressive. That is correct. The patriarchy did that.
I'm all about blaming the patriarchy. 100%.
Totally. It's really easy to do. So we're just going to keep doing that. That's awesome. Let's see. We've been told that we are good to listen to. Our podcast is good to listen to. If you're learning what a podcast is and how to use Spotify, it is easy. And I will give Spotify full credit of all the ones that I've tried to use. Spotify is the easiest one. We are also the easiest to find on Spotify. If you type us in, we're like on the first page, like with, I think it was iHeartRadio. You literally have to scroll for like 4 minutes to find us.
You know, it's funny because I picked this one because my husband was teaching our neighbor across the road how to use Spotify and podcasts because she wanted to listen to our podcast. So he was teaching her. So I was like, hey, look at that. We're a good starter podcast is what we are.
Hey, starter podcast. Somebody's got to be, and it might as well be us. You can find us on our website, which is easy to find, or you can find us on the Spotify or the YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. And again, we also have expanded to Apple Podcasts and to iHeartRadio and to Amazon Music. So if you are a listener or a viewer or whatever of all of those things, you can digest us on those things as well, which is completely awesome. So yay to that. We always do what we did this week that was either smart, dumb, or fun. And let's talk about smart or dumb or fun stuff that happened this week. We are going to start with you. Let's go.
Well, my fun stuff was that the turkey vultures are coming back. This is my harbinger of spring. It isn't robins. It isn't the crocuses. It's the turkey vultures. And I started seeing turkey vultures like 2 weeks ago. And first, I thought it was like an anomaly. Sometimes one or two still hang out. But nope, it's true. Turkey vultures are coming back. They know something we don't know. Yay. Hooray. Turkey vultures are also my favorite birds. So I'm glad to see them back.
Nice job, you guys. Yep, I saw my first one the other day, and it's just, again, struggling with the fact that I don't know what time of year it is right now. My body feels all this warm, and it's like, it's March, it's April, and I'm like, it's still February, dummy. So I'm struggling a little bit with that. It's like, honestly, it's like I'm stuck in, perennial Tuesday. It's like instead of Wednesday, it's always Tuesday. That's how it feels right now. So, and my students are are insane right now. They are insane because they, as far as they're concerned, winter is great for middle school kids because it sort of dampens their spirits, but they're not, man. They are fired up right now because spring is super early. Crap.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
Yeah, they're ready to go. So for me, I did something smart this week. I'm one of those assholes who gets vaccinated. I got vaccinated this week. I got shingles vaccination number 2 to go along with my first shingles, my COVID, and my flu that I got in the fall. I didn't get nearly as sick this time. The shingles vaccine is it's a tough vaccine. It will trigger your immune response, if you will, hard.
Jenny, I got my first shingles vaccine this week, so we both got shingles vaccines this week. My next one will be coming up in April. I'm super excited.
So we're both those assholes who get vaccinated. Good job, Ann Brothers.
Thank you. When we, I guess, again, Gen X, we were raised when you couldn't go to school unless you had your vaccines.
No, and then you would go to vaccine and you go to school to get vaccinated, and they would pull out that goddamn gun, that fucking taser from Star Trek, and shoot that hole into your arm, and then
no
all
recess.
that shit would leak.
There's no recess today. Today you were vaccinated.
Yeah, correct. I'm like, oh, not only does this hurt, but then I'm going to miss recess. Oh, that's probably the other thing we should have told you ahead of time is that we are not a rated G podcast. We swear.
Yeah, I just talked about Duncan's boner, so yeah.
Correct.
Hello.
And we'll say things like boner and twat and things like that. So
things like that.
If that offends you, you should have turned it off 5 minutes ago. Duh. Okay.
It's not going to get better. Turkey vulture. No. There you go.
There. Vaccinated. Asshole. Done. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else? I think that's it for our smart, dumb, fun stuff for this week. So let's ask Jeannie questions, mostly about true crime. Maybe some things that aren't so true crimey. It occurred to me, Anne, that Joe Peters weighs in with us. He said Duncan's boner, dibs on the band name. Thanks, Joe Peters.
I think Duncan should get the first dibs because he's going to be the lead singer and bagpiper.
And it's his boner. So
and it's his boner.
Possession is 9 tenths of the law.
Isn't that the slang name for a bagpipe? Is boner?
Duncan?
Duncan?
I don't believe so.
He does not believe so.
I believe you're full of shit.
Duncan is with us. He says we're full of shit.
Well, my wife.
Oh, look at this. We got Michigan Storm Chasers with us. Michigan Storm Chasers, we love you. And super excited about whatever's going to happen on Tuesday. Again, Michigan Storm Chasers have been kind of filling up some feed this week with the fact that we're supposed to have severe weather on Tuesday.
Yeah.
On frickin' February 27th, we could see some severe weather, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
So Michigan Storm Chasers, thanks for filling us in on that. We will absolutely be following you all day on Tuesday to see how all that comes out. So
yeah, it's supposed to be almost 70 on Tuesday, Jenny.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is it going to be like 5 years ago where it got really warm and everything budded and was beautiful, and then it was 10 degrees below zero like a week later?
Yes. I don't want all the fruit to die.
I know. I was just thinking that. I'm like, no fruit.
There'll be no fruit this year. The only fruit will be grapes, and that's it.
Fair enough.
And that's it.
So, all right. So, Jeannie, this is a question that I'm going to start asking you that we forgot to put it on, Anne, and I don't believe that we did that. Jeannie, and I'm totally springing this on you, and I know you don't like this. What's your spirit animal?
Spirit animal, I think, is a dolphin.
Oh,
I really like to swim.
okay, and this is my sister. Ann Brothers is making dolphin noises, and pretty good too, actually.
Yeah, pretty good.
Drinker.
I love swimming.
Oh, yeah,
that's awesome.
True. She was on the swim team when she was in high school.
I was.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to swim.
I don't like to have my head wet, but Jeannie, I can see that you're sleek and playful, and you like to swim.
And wildly intelligent. And as we know, dolphins are wildly intelligent. So I think that's a good pick, Jeannie. Yep. Yeah.
No, it makes perfect sense. Now I'm going to start buying you dolphin stuff.
Sweet.
I'm going to look for like.
I have to show you guys later at the very end. I'll bring out. Max asked us 3 questions. He was like, "What's your favorite animal? What's your favorite ecosystem?" And I forget the last one, but he drew each of us on our animal, and like riding it in our favorite ecosystem. That was one of his Christmas presents. It was really cute.
That is nice. Super cute.
Riding a dolphin in the ocean. Yes.
Tara Trotter wants to know if you can take down a shark.
No.
You're a shark.
No, I'm scared of them.
All right, so here we go. Michigan Storm Chasers. They said you'll love the forecast next week. It's trending warm after Tuesday and again towards 70. Can't say how long though. We go live ourselves at 7. Okay, so there you go. They will be following up at 7. Check out Michigan Storm Chasers. They're going to be talking about what's happening this week. It's going to be awesome. Joe had a comment for you about your dolphins. Dolphins mess up sharks all the time, right? Jeanne Caselli messing up sharks.
Exactly. Fuck those sharks. Oh!
That's right. Well, I do have mad respect for sharks because they've been around for a very long time. So good job, buddies. All right. So more questions. Thank you for answering that question, Jeannie. All right. Ann, why don't you go ahead and take this one?
Okay. I don't know what it is, Jenny, because we don't have the slide up and I didn't write them down.
My bad.
Sorry.
My bad.
So I'm pretty sure the question is, let's ask Jeannie questions mostly about true crime. Okay. So Jeannie.
That's a good picture.
I know. Isn't that, I found that on the interweb. I was very excited about it.
Nice.
So I Googled Jeanne Caselli and this is one of the pictures that came up. I was like, yeah, I got to use this one. So
I remember that.
Tell us 3 things about yourself and don't be modest.
Okay. That's from teaching. So that was a Christmas party, I think, or a Halloween party. I can't tell from here, but from like 8 years ago, I'm not sure. And I just retired in 2020. And so I taught in Chelsea for 30 years, mostly 5th grade, some 6th grade, 1 year of 3rd. And then I have 2 children. They're in their 20s and they're doing awesome. And my husband is Tony Caselli. He works at the Williamson Theater. He's the artistic director there. And let's see, I'm a certified doula for birth and postpartum, but I don't practice because I could never figure out how to have that business, get that business started. So, but I do love the process and that. Yeah. 3 things about me.
That's awesome.
I would say you could birth my baby, but I think that time has come and gone for me.
Past that.
Yes. I've been at 3 births and they were all magical. Besides my own.
I was going to say, does that include yours? 2?
So 5 altogether.
5. Okay. Very good. All right.
So you said you taught for 30 years, but then it occurred to me that I'm like, wait, that means you and I and Ann have all known each other for more than 30 years.
Yes, we have.
Wah, wah.
I'm like, wow.
Wow. I have people in my life. Exactly. It's catching up.
Tara thinks that should be your retirement gig right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I still need to make a paycheck. So it's hard to start a business like that when you're on call and have a job. So I've never been able to figure out how to make that happen. So
TikTok videos of birth and doula stuff.
I see a lot of those. Yeah, I see a lot. So I listen to birth podcasts and I listen to murder podcasts. So what's that say about me?
You like both ends of the spectrum.
That feels like ironic somehow.
Yeah, you're not a middle of the road sort of gal. You're at the extremes.
Extreme life.
And she can sing, people. That's right. She can sing. All right. Your second question. Wait, did you tell us?
Yeah, she did. She told us 3 things. She's a trained doula. She taught for 30 years. She has 2 kids and a husband somewhere.
Yeah, excellent.
All right. Jeannie, when did you first become interested in true crime?
There are 2 moments. I thought about this. There are 2 big moments in my life that really got me interested. One, I grew up in Oakland County in 1976 and 77. There was a child killer lurking about, and he killed 4 children in those 2 years. And I was 7 or 8 years old at that time, and I was absolutely convinced that I was the next child. And I remember listening to the news, and because we all did that. We grew up just sitting in front of the news at night because, wishing it was on some other channel, but it was TV. So our parents let us watch all kinds of interesting things. And
unless it was the news.
Do you remember when it would say it's 10 o'clock? Do you know where your children are?
Yes.
But I know that didn't actually start in Detroit, but they used that in Detroit. It started in Florida in the late 60s, but it made that, and all of the reports about the child killer freak me out. Seeing all the drawings, and so I really believed I was going to be kidnapped. And then when I was in 7th grade and I was at camp, we went to a camp in Frankfort, Michigan, and Frankfort, Michigan. And one of the counselors brought a magazine that had an article about 2 12-year-old girls, and I was 12 years old, 12-year-old girls who were jumped on in the woods, raped, stabbed, pounded on, and left under a dirty mattress in the woods. And one of the girls came to and actually stumbled out of the woods naked and went to someone's door and got help. But the other one sadly didn't make it. So that just, the fear that gave me was, it was just, it was exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. I wasn't exposed to stuff like that. So just, yeah. So those 2 moments probably were the start of me being kind of terrified of that kind of thing. And then I realized it was kind of a whole genre of entertainment, and started listening to and watching it, and, Forensic Files and that kind of thing earlier on.
Mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I developed my relationship with the weather. It's this this fear of it first, and then it becomes sort of a fascination as you learn more. So I totally get that. So,
Jeannie, can you, what about true crime interests you? I mean, we know that it was exhilarating these first early in your childhood, but what about it now into your adulthood interests you?
I like the mystery part of it. I like, the unknown part of it, so that your mind is sort of cycling and trying to make connections and use clues and solve things. So I really like that part of it. I like that. I don't know if it's true, but it makes me feel like I'm more aware of what's around me and the situations that could get me in trouble. So, I mean, I've listened to a lot of it, and I know a lot of things that people do that are not maybe the smartest things. And so I'm really careful, I think, mostly. And it makes me, I know it's not true, but it makes me feel like a better person because though I have messed up in my life, I've never murdered anyone.
Oh, good job.
I have a question for you. This is a sidebar. In the different bits of true crime that you've listened to, have this been like stranger on stranger, or is this usually, do you find that it's more people that know each other?
I would say it's a big mix.
Okay.
Probably more on the knowing side than on the stranger side, but
yeah, fascinating because I've always wondered what drives somebody to kill somebody else. That's always a question that lingers for me in the back of my head. What does it take to get to the point where you've decided that the only option for you is murder? So
you're much more likely to be killed by somebody who you know. but there's more podcasts about serial killers, and most of the time those are not people who kill people they know.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. And then I was going to say that I remember when my kids were little and I was watching, I'm ashamed to say, but I watch Toddlers and Tiaras now and then. because
Don't be ashamed. It's guilty
like
pleasure.
Mom. It made me feel like a better mom, seriously.
Well, sure, you were a better mom. There's no doubt about it.
I was going to say that you felt better because you were.
Sometimes you have doubts, though, and you know, just watching something like that makes you go, "Okay, I'm not that bad.
I'm doing okay."
Right? Good job, Jeannie. Well done. All right, so that takes us to question number 4. What are your top true crime podcasts that you listen to?
So there are 2 types. I listen to episodic ones that are different. For every episode is different, covering a different crime or person. And I listen to the serial ones, like Serial.
Oh yeah,
the podcast Serial, where they really focus in on one crime and victim and follow it through. You learn every little nook and cranny of the case. So the top 5 of my episodic are Small Town Dicks, which is Yardley Smith. And there's just something about having Lisa Simpson talk about true crime. I just
feels like that's what she would do.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Her voice is just, iconic. And her 2 co-hosts are twin detectives, retired detectives named Dan and Dave. And at first they didn't reveal their identities, except their first names. Now everyone knows who they are because Yardley married one of them. And so the first 2 seasons are my favorite of that one. You get to see everything through the detective's eyes, and they bring in detectives from all around the world. One of my favorites is, his name is Deputy Chief Constable Tom from Scotland, and I just could listen to him talk all day. And they're really good about trigger warnings, and so if something's about child abuse or about sexual abuse, they'll always warn you. It's a good podcast. My second favorite.
You said that one's called Small Town Dicks, because I'm going to go ahead and I'll post these after the show, so that if you're interested in maybe following these this will be Jeannie's top 5 list. Now, just so I'm understanding this, you have certain ones that are single, so it's like they have a podcast, you learn everything about that particular crime in one episode.
Yeah.
And then the next time it's a completely different episode.
Right. And that's what these
top
5 of these are.
Okay.
Yeah. So
these are all episodic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Small Town Dicks is number 5. Number 4 for me is Case File. That's actually the first one I listened to. And the host is Australian, and he is totally anonymous. Nobody knows who he is. Well, I'm sure somebody does. But, and he says it's because he wants all the attention going to the victims and the families, and not any kind of focus on him, which I think is pretty cool. He's an incredible researcher. He's super detailed. He covered the Golden State Killer case so thoroughly. He went through from when he was just a ransacker and a ransacker and a thief, to when he was a rapist, all the way through when he was raping and killing. And do you know who the Golden State Killer is? Have you heard of that case?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then after, a year after he covered that, he did it in 5 of his 5 episodes. A year or so after he did that, Joseph D'Angelo was captured, and he's in prison now. So he has an incredible amount of episodes, and he's super detailed. So I really like him. He also does trigger warnings, so that's good.
Mm.
Number 3 is Crime Junkie, and that's Ashley Flowers and her friend Britt. That's how they introduce themselves. I'm Ashley Flowers, and I'm Britt. It kind of bothers me. I looked it up finally because I was like, why doesn't she get to say her last name? She's part of this podcast. Why doesn't she say her last name? And one of the things I saw said that she just doesn't like her last name. And I'm like, I think it's more about Ashley's control, but I don't know for sure. So I'm not going to say that. It's super, super factual, very, very scripted. So I get a little tired of that part of it. But they the one thing I really like about them is they cover a lot of crimes against the global majority, and they cover a lot of LGBTQ victims. So they try really hard to not just cover rich white women.
White ladies.
Yep. And they have over 630 episodes, and they're big victim advocates, and they're trying to solve a lot of cold cases. And they've given a lot, like $700,000 to charity. So they're a good one. Another one that Ashley Flowers does is my number 2 is called The Deck. And that one, the theme song is really fun because she has cards shuffling in it. Like that sound of cards shuffle. I love that. And so that one is based on a deck of cards that was invented in Florida by a detective who thought, if we give these facts to inmates and they play cards with these, they might start talking and know something about a crime and give us information. So they made these decks that had all these cold cases on them. So 52 different cold cases on each deck. And now you can buy them anywhere online. And a lot of different states have them. So I thought that was really a fun idea for a podcast. And I really believe that the way she covers them, she is going to help solve something soon, because she has a huge following and someone's going to know something. So that one's a good one. And then my top one, my favorite one, which is a very guilty pleasure, is My Favorite Murder, which is Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. And started listening to that one during the pandemic. They started in 2016, and I didn't know about them until your crack entertainment expert, Chip Maley, talked about it in your podcast.
Yeah.
So I started listening to them, and I just binged the whole thing, and then binged it again. And I started listening to it from the beginning, so I listened to the way it evolved, and it's so different now. And I like it still, but I liked it better earlier on. It just started out as the two of them just chatting, and one of them would tell about their favorite murder, and the other one would talk about their favorite murder. And they didn't do a lot of research or anything. They just sort of talked about what they knew and got a lot wrong. And then they started realizing calling it their favorite murder might sound really bad, so they stopped doing that. But they kept the name of the show.
Of course, because they have like thousands and thousands of followers. So
yeah,
indeed.
And you can't have a favorite murder every day. So
very good.
So they do. Monday show, the Thursday show is still pretty much the same. They chat for a few, and then they each tell a murder or a story about it. It varies. Sometimes they actually tell stories about history, or they tell survivor stories. So they kind of change it up now and then. And then on Mondays, they put out a shorter episode that has just listener stories, because they've gotten so many listener stories. They have so many followers, and they are both millionaires now. So
that's what Jenny and I want to be when we grow up.
Millionaires. So, I don't want to be anything, just a millionaire.
There's a ton of controversy about them because it's a comedy podcast, but I really feel like most of their comedy is appropriate. It's not toward the victims. It's more situational and like stupidity of the criminals and stuff like that. And just they make fun of themselves. So I don't feel like it's really about the victims. But I can see why people might think it's not appropriate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Tara Trotter is with us. She thinks you should be listening to Morbid. I don't know what that's about, but she also says that you'll love it. Similar vibe as My Favorite Murder, but so much better and more respectful and well-researched. So there you go. Something. Now, have you listened to that one?
I have listened to it a couple of times. Yes.
Okay.
I haven't listened to it fully. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of the episodes, so no. I have too many on my feed. But yeah, I should listen to that one more. There's another one called Sword and Scale that I can't listen to because it's just too incredibly gruesome. I just can't. The other thing I like about Karen and Georgia is they're both recovering substance abuse. They both are recovering from substance abuse, and they both have some mental health issues, and they are super open about it and talk about getting help. And they've gotten a lot of people to get help. So because of how open they are. So I like that a lot about them.
It's cool.
Yeah. And then my top 5 serial podcasts, I don't listen to these as much, but I listen once you start listening to them, you just binge the whole season in one, like a few hours. But number 5 is Unraveled. And that one is about the Gilgo Beach murders, or the Gilgo Beach, the bodies that were found there on Long Island. There were 11 bodies found there. And when they did the podcast this first season, it wasn't solved, but now somebody's in custody. So yeah, so his name is Rex Heuermann, and it's pretty sure that he did at least 4 or more of them. So yeah, so that's kind of it's really cool to see, like, to watch it unfold and see all the you hear all the different pieces and parts and get to know all of the different people that are involved. And a lot of they focus on primary resources as much as they can, primary sources. So that's a good one. And that's Billy Jensen and Alexis Linkletter. And they have other seasons that are about different things. Right now, actually, though, most of their updates are about season 1 because it's pretrial time for the guy that's been captured.
We have a new person with us. We have Tony Caselli is with us. Tony Caselli says, "This is gruesome. They all sound. It's how they all sound to me. I run away and watch Top Chef." I get it, Tony.
loves
Top
his
Chef's
cooking
amazing.
shows.
You might have put 2 and 2 together. Tony Caselli is related by marriage to Jeanne Caselli. Thanks for watching, Tony. We love you. Feel better.
The husband of Jeanne Caselli is Tony.
There's Tony.
I think you guys.
All right. So I'm sorry. What was your number 4?
Number 4 is Up and Vanished, season 1, and that's Payne Lindsay, and he researched and followed the disappearance of Tara Grinstead, who was disappeared in 2005 in Georgia. She was a teacher in Georgia, and he just did a really good job of uncovering so much information that it ended up being partly his efforts that got the 2 guys caught and they're in prison now.
Wow. So
I think that's so cool that somebody can not be a detective and can help figure out something like this. So now they're now in prison, and they actually gave him a nod at one of the press conferences when they announced that they had found the 2 people that were responsible for her disappearance and murder.
Wow.
And then number 3 is called The Thing About Pam, which is the story of Pam Hupp, who is the most bizarre woman to have ever set foot on this earth. She, at the time, so Dateline covered her in 2000. I don't know what years it was. I'm sorry. Dateline covered her when it was just 1 murder. Now it's up to 3 murders. And yeah, so she is a piece of work. She's so bizarre. And it's hosted by Keith Morrison, and you either love him or you hate him. He's got the most interesting voice of all time, and I love listening to him tell stories. So, do you know his voice?
I do.
Yeah, it's very interesting and super entertaining. Yeah. So I like his Dateline episodes. I don't like the other hosts, but his kind of just the way he talks cracks me up, not the episodes themselves.
I'm sorry. What's the woman's name? Pam what?
Pam Hupp.
Pam Hupp, because I was going to say, Tara was saying that it's a Hulu series. Pam.
It is a Hulu. So there is a Hulu. They did it on Hulu with Renee Zellweger plays Pam Hupp, and she is incredible. She does such a good job.
All right, I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, that one's a definite must watch. It's okay. It's really good.
We still have Hulu right now until I decide that we don't. Until Duncan and I decide we don't anymore.
Nice.
All right, so number 2 is In Your Own Backyard by Chris Lambert, and that was about the 1996 disappearance of Cal Poly student Kristen Smart, and it was another one that got solved, and partly because of his doggedness. So That's another good one. And then finally, In the Dark, season 1, which is a New Yorker podcast, and Madeline Barron is the host. And that one is about the disappearance of Jacob Wetterling. And he's a little boy. He was 11 in 1989. And so this one really hit home because that was exactly what I was terrified of happening, is me getting kidnapped and tortured and murdered. And the weirdest thing about this one is a week before she was ready to release the whole podcast, it was solved. And this was 27 years later after it happened. And the week before she's about to release her podcast, it gets solved. So she had to go back and revamp her first 2 episodes. And then, then she was able to release it. But that one is more about like the failure of law enforcement, because they had the guy in their grips. They had him. They had enough evidence. And he just lived for the next 27 years on his own, just doing more bad stuff. And so, and also talks a lot about the sex offender list that got started because the little boy's mom, if she had known that he was a sex offender, maybe things would have been different. But she was a really big advocate for the sex offender lists. And then later decided that she wasn't, that it was unfair to put that, because so many people that are on that list are not actually dangerous people, and their whole lives are ruined. So it just kind of explores all of that. So that one's a good one. And other seasons in that podcast covered different crimes. And so, yeah, those are my top 10.
Cool.
Well done. That's a great list. A great list. Now I'm going to listen to them. Where do I even start? That sort of leads to my next question. Where, if you were like me, who is a complete rookie of true crime podcasts, which one do I start with?
That's a really good question. I don't know. It just depends on what I think you'd be okay with any of the ones I mentioned. I would listen to the thing about Pam, if you can see on Keith Morrison's voice, I guess.
I don't mind his voice at all.
I was going to say, I like the, and this is, I like the idea that it's about a woman. Usually it's, men being pieces of shit and committing crimes, but I want to know what's up with Pam. I want to know what's
up. Oh my gosh, you're just going to be blown away. You got to let me know what you think of it.
All right. I can do that.
That's what I'm curious about. I was never worried about getting murdered. I was worried that I would murder somebody.
Okay. All right. So, wait. What does Tara have to say here? Welcome to the dark side of true crime, brothers, sisters. That is a true statement, Tara. True. We are absolutely getting welcomed in. Well said. I think you kind of answered this question already. So, what about your top choices makes them special? Tara says this to Duncan. Look out, Duncan.
It seems as though, Jeannie, if I'm listening correctly, one of the things that you're interested in is, one, that they advocate for the victims, 2, that they are well researched, and then 3, that they give you warnings if there's going to be something that that's might trigger you. So it sounds like you mentioned those things several times. So it sounds like those are 3 things that you look for in true crime.
I do. I look for whether they cite their sources. And at first, like, My Favorite Murder did not at all. They just were like, they're just drinking and talking. It's such a difference between now and that. Now they have like whole teams of researchers and they list their sources and everything. But I like when they have primary resources. I like when they cite their sources and they're respectful, and I like when they give to good charities. So,
which is awesome. So, again, I think this next question is, what separates a good true crime podcast from a bad one?
Yeah, I know that it's on a moral, like a gray area morally, to listen to to binge all this stuff. And I understand why people think it's bad. Am I answering the wrong question?
No, you're not.
No,
This is a great question. Nope.
I guess there's so many different things you could say that about so many different things. So if it makes you uncomfortable, don't listen to it is basically what I think. And a lot of the ones that are out there do some good out there. So that's why
Well, and and I think you were probably referring to this question right here, is that do you ever feel like true crime podcasts are exploiting the victims or their families?
Absolutely I do. Yeah. If it's been solved and they're just if they give way too many details, I don't know. I just feel like it's too much. And it's kind of glorifying what the person did. But I also listen to a lot of it. So I don't know. It's a really tricky question.
Definitely. And I like what you said earlier about what makes for a good true crime podcast. I feel like if it's a good one, it's not exploiting the victims or their families.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. And again, this is a question, and I think you pretty much answered this one, is how do you know if a podcast is legit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just, again, they're citing their sources, and that's the main one, I think.
Is they're doing their research for sure.
Their diligence.
They're detailed.
Their due diligence.
There are a couple fun, kind of goofy, satirical true crime podcasts out there that are really not about real crimes. If you're interested in that kind of thing, one is called A Very Fatal Murder.
Very fatal murder. Nice.
Yes, it's put out by The Onion, and David Pascal is it's about the murder of Haley Price, which is it's fictional, and
okay.
Of course, it's a beautiful white woman, and yeah, so that one's very funny, down to its commercials. Both of them have spoofy commercials too. So you know how in almost every podcast, like Blue Apron and HelloFresh, they're all sponsors of the shows, and they make fun of those. They do spoofy commercials on those. Done Disappeared is another one, and that one's hosted by a guy named John David Booter, and he's researching the murder of Clara Pockets. That's how he says it, Clara Pockets, and it's just so silly. It's dumb. I mean, they're super short episodes. He says his name about 50 times. It's making fun of all podcasts because he says his name like over and over and over, and it's like, my name is John David Booter. This is produced by John David Booter.
And we haven't said any of those. Dang it. We don't have any of that stuff, Anne. We don't have any Blue Apron commercials. And I've only said our name like twice.
I know.
So there's a couple that I won't listen to. And for me, it's more about the voices. I have a real hard time with certain voices, and it's not to say anything mean about them, but if you're listening to somebody for hours, they have quirky voices. One of them is Kate Winkler Dawson. I cannot listen to her voice. I listened to her for a long time, and I got so tired of her voice. I couldn't listen to her anymore. She does a couple of really good podcasts, and she's a really good researcher. She's written true crime books. She's a very smart woman. I just can't listen to her voice. And then Phoebe Judge with Criminal. Also, she's very, very smart woman. Does an amazing job researching. Her podcast is through all these different perspectives, and it's also episodic. But again, I can't listen to her voice, so I guess I have a sound thing.
Tara would tell you that she disagrees with your Kate Winkler Dawson. She loves her.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And I respect everything she does. I just can't listen to her voice anymore.
Yeah, they sound like good podcasts, so you might still want to, somebody might want to check them out. Just I understand that there's sometimes when I'm listening to a book on, I listened to the Hunger Games series on what is it, Audible, and I won't mention the actress because she's a kind of a famous actress who read them all, and I couldn't finish the last book because I could not stand her voice anymore. Mm-hmm. So, it happens. It's okay.
Yeah.
It does.
And I know they're perfectly wonderful people and they do a great job. I just
it's like, nope, not for me. That's okay. That's why there's so many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That is true. I don't have any more questions for Jeannie. And do you have any more questions for Jeannie?
No, that was very thorough. And the thing is, like, I've never particularly been interested in true crime, but I thought you saying that that some of these help solve crimes. They help the families. They're trying to help the victims. I never thought of it like that, and I think that was an excellent point to bring up.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would agree because it's never been on my radar. I think I've read maybe one true crime book, and it was on the Michigan murders, and I read that 1,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read that one too.
You read Devil in the White City. That was a true crime.
That's right. That is true crime. Yeah, that's a great book.
At least half true crime. It's half true crime,
half true crime, and half
architecture.
Weird architecture.
Which I really like. I like that part. And actually, that was one of the reasons I really love that book, is more so about the history of Chicago, more so than
cool
the crimes. It is. It's a really awesome book. Now, do you read a lot of true crime, or do you basically just stick with podcasts?
I read a lot of fictional crime. I don't read a lot of true crime. I that was one I read. Trying to think if there's any other true crime I've read recently. Nothing comes to mind, but no, mostly it's just either watching on TV or listening to podcasts. And I don't do that when Tony's around because he doesn't like it.
Because he'll just run off and watch Top Chef, and there you go. So, Tara, she agrees with your point about somebody's voice.
Students feel the same about her voice.
I think my students are just like, "Did you say something? I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything.
Voice puts me to sleep.
I have heard that when I just
put me to sleep.
Oh, really? I'm not yelling at you enough. I'm sorry.
Well, Jeannie, I have excellent news for you. You get an awesome Brothers Sisters tote bag. That's right, for being on the show.
Yay!
You get a beautiful, handy tote. You being an ex-teacher, you can never have enough tote bags. Am I wrong? No.
I need another knitting bag.
See, there it is, right there. It is with the beautiful Brothers Sisters logo. So honestly, this was really interesting. I have so much to do now. As if I don't have enough to do now, I have to see. That was the one thing. I work closer to home now. I only have about a 12-minute drive to work, and that's kind of a bummer because I don't get to listen to as much stuff. So, all right. Tony says I think she's building a slow strategy to get rid of me. Putting that out there for future law enforcement and podcasters.
Very slow strategy. In fact, people are just getting tired of that. Actually, I think Tony's going to outlive all of us. So
yeah, I think he is.
So I don't think I don't think we're going to have to worry.
Yeah, it'd be really strange if I was going to try and kill you if I gave you a kidney. Just putting that out there.
Talk about throwing off the scent. I think that's an excellent way.
To throw off the scent. Okay.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
it's like I wanted my kidney back. So yeah, I think slow boil, Jeannie. It's a slow boil.
Very slow.
Nice. That is correct, Sarah. It is a bitchin' bro babes bag. Score. Fireworks. Indeed.
No fireworks this time. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I think you have to say thumbs up emoji.
Oh, thumbs up emoji. Fireworks emoji. Thumbs up fireworks emoji. Nothing. I think I broke it.
The things we learned about our technology while we're using it. You're like,
exactly.
So, yeah. So let's take a quick sneak peek at next week. That's right. Back by popular demand. Anne and Janice Brothers sampling Universal Yums. This time from Spain.
Yes, Jenny, I was planning on being in Kalamazoo for this so we could discuss people with chewing into our microphones in the same place.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. I think we should totally do that. That'll be fun. And yes, we will get a chance to chew into a microphone. And these are pretty nice microphones. They pick up a lot. So
we do.
We might have to mute for the early chewing and then unmute for later chewing. I don't know. So, or we'll just put the microphone farther away.
Yes, so hopefully we'll get that in time so that I can put together a slideshow for Universal Yums from Spain.
Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Oh,
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was absolutely no problem whatsoever.
Because legitimate.
You totally make us legit. And, of course, because we've been friends forever now, because again, it just occurred to me that we've been friends now for like 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
We're freaking old.
Yeah. Tara wants to know if we can smack into the mic too. Really give us the experience. Yes, Tara, I can absolutely.
Happy to. Yeah, exactly.
Gross. I just can't even stand listening to it.
So if you have a thing for your preview for next week.
Trigger warning. If you can't stand people chewing, don't listen next week. Tara would also like to tell Jeannie that she did a lovely job.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. That means a lot, Tara. We need to meet and exchange stories.
And discuss.
We can make that happen. Discuss different podcast stuff. So yep, we are moving into an hour here. So we will say I do. Wait, I have to do stuff first, though. I have to put my brand in the background, and we have to play. I can't remember which music I was going to play for this. Oh, we're going to play the rock.
No, we can't do that yet. We have to tell everybody to follow and thumbs up and all that
right.
stuff.
I forgot to tell everybody to follow us with our stuff. Sorry, we have new stuff. And so let's get there. That's right. You can support the Brothers Sisters. We do have brand new stuff. As you can see, we have a new little tile here. You can follow us on Spotify, the YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Please like us, follow us, subscribe to us. Please.
Pretty please. We're awesome. You'll love it.
It is. It's easy to listen to. You won't feel bad afterwards. You'll be like, I don't feel bad. Yay. Exactly. Not like listening to NPR or stuff like that. So
yeah, because it's like, this is bleak. We're not bleak at all. We're hilarious.
We're hilarious, and we're going to eat next week in front of you because people like it to watch other people eat now. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a thing.
So yes. Anyway, you don't have to pay a dime to follow us. You can literally follow for free. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. So yep, we would love to have you as our fans, etc., etc. So yep. Well done. Thanks, Anne, for catching that. Otherwise, people would have been like, where's the stuff? So, yeah.
I know. Exactly. I was like, Jenny, we have to self-promote. We're often told we do not self-promote enough. So we got to do that. We gotta we can't be like middle-aged white ladies and like, oh no, thanks. It's all you. I'm sorry.
I'm Janice Renee Brothers.
Watch your shit.
And I'm Janice Renee Brothers, and you've been listening to the Brothers Sisters podcast. How'd I do?
Great. I'm Ann Denise Brothers, and you've been listening to the Brothers Sisters podcast. We're heroes. You're welcome.
Nice.
Dude, we're self-promoting like crazy.
Exactly.
Totally.
We're like doing it like white men.
Say that again, Jeannie.
You need a good sign-off line.
Oh, we do.
And my favorite murder, it's stay sexy and don't get murdered.
Oh,
okay. We'll have to work on that. So, okay, that'll be our. Yeah. What should our sign off? That's got to be our question. That's our poll question this week.
Yeah, that's a good poll question.
What should our sign off line be? Yes.
Our sign off. It's dark. I'm going to bed.
That's as good as any.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right. Well, I'm gonna put on our amazing.
I know, it's like, yeah, it's my favorite 80s sitcom. All right. Hey, we're both trying to pick up the phone at the same time. What?
Two cousins that live together in New York. They're also lovers.
Oh my gosh, so many misunderstandings.
It's like the Three's Company music.
Love Boat.
So yeah, this is the sure sign that it's time for this podcast to end. We're playing our cool 80s water park music. You've been listening to the Brothers Sisters Smart, Dumb, Fun. This is Janice Brothers with Jeanne Caselli and
Brothers.
Thanks for listening, you guys, and we will see you next week. Peace and out.
Peace out.
Bye.